All right, everybody. For those of you who have not met me before, I am Debbie Waidl. I am a migraine freedom expert, and I am here tonight with Lori, who is a graduate of the Freedom from Migraine Method. And Lori is going to share her insight, her story, and her journey with all of you tonight because we know what it's like to not be able, I have the perfect shirt on, to not believe that it can actually happen. You know, you try all the things, you do all the things, and you're like, there's no way. There's no way I'm ever going to have migraine freedom. But Lori had quite the anniversary yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, and is so excited to share with you hope and give you that opportunity to believe. So, Lori, I want to dive right in, but before we get to the questions, do you want to give everybody just a 2 second overview of who you are, just so they know who they're listening to today?
Yes, I'm Lori, and I am 63 years old, and I was a migraine sufferer for 34 years. I got my first migraine when I was 26, and I thought I had a brain tumor. I had no idea a migraine could feel the way it did.
Yeah, that
I
first one
went,
is scary, isn't it?
it was terrifying. I mean, look at that was 34 years ago, and I still remember.
Yeah.
And I went to my doctor who sent me to a neurologist who sent me for the MRI. And of course, there was nothing there.
Yep.
And that was the beginning of my migraines. And I didn't have them that often in the beginning, maybe one, two, three a year. And
Mhm.
then the older I got, the worse they were getting. And then my husband and I retired a few years ago. We moved to Northern Arizona, and my migraines they just became, instead of maybe one a month, became 7 or 8 a month. And here I was retired, and I'm blaming everything. I'm blaming the altitude, I'm blaming the monsoons, I'm blaming everything I could think of, my hormones. And
Yep.
I told my husband we're going to have to move back to Southern California where we're flat because maybe my migraines will get better. And it was just so sad. I mean, here we were retired and I was ready to start my life. And
And you
I was,
could
I was pissed.
I
And
don't blame you. You should be. You know, I think that is an emotion I don't think we talk about often enough. We talk about how we're sad, we're worried, we're depressed, but you should be pissed,
I
because here you
was.
are, the time of your life, you've worked hard, you deserve this break, and you move somewhere. Clearly, you moved for a purpose, right? You wanted to be there. And then that thought went through your head, like, am I going to have to freaking pack up and move again? And by the way, nobody move because of migraines. Please reach out first. Because I know you're all thinking right now, well, of course it's the monsoons, it's a different weather, or if you're in Colorado, it's because you moved to the mountains, whatever it is. But trust me, we've worked with enough women and helped you not be able to have to move. Um, so physically, the migraines were increasing. What else was going on physically with you? What other things were you feeling? Anything besides head pain?
Well, let me just say, I thought I was a very healthy person. I thought I ate right. I knew I didn't sleep well, and I
Uh-huh.
knew I didn't go to the bathroom well, but I ate well. And I
Mhm.
thought, I don't know what else to do. I was on triptans, which luckily for me, they worked,
Mhm.
but they left me 2 days later like a zombie. I
Yeah.
couldn't function after I took them, but they took the pain away. But that would make a 1 day migraine into a 3 day event because the following 2 days I was dead. And so I was really angry and I was depressed and I was stressed out and frustrated because I thought, this is not how I want to live the last third of my life.
Yeah.
And so I started doing research. I found you on Facebook. I can't even tell you how many migraine podcasts I listen to. Anything that had the word migraine in it, I would listen to it. Any drug, and the funny thing is, when I went to my new doctor here, he said, I can't treat you for migraines because they're not chronic. He said I needed to have more than
15.
13, yeah,
Oh, 13,
13.
they said? Yeah, okay.
So
Either,
I
isn't
thought,
it ridiculous?
yeah. And so that made me more mad and so upset. And here we are trying to meet new people. I could show you my calendar. It was just blank because I wouldn't schedule anything in case I had a migraine. So I think I just got to the breaking point, and I think I listened to one of your seminars or something that you had, and I related to you, and I thought I can do this. And I was frustrated because we had just moved into a new
Mhm.
house. We had a lot of expenses. And the last thing I wanted to do was spend money on myself when we had all these things we needed to do with our house. And my husband was super encouraging. And he said, you know what? You need to do something because this is no life. And it's funny when you get these migraines, it's like, poor me, you're in the dark room, but you don't think about the people around you and
Yeah.
how it affects everybody else.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, I heard you say in there you just moved to the house, you had so many things you had to do. Now I'm assuming when you moved in, your house was livable, right? You were absolutely fine. So things you wanted to do though, which I totally get. What made you stop and think, like, I'm not spending that money on me? What would make you put curtains on a window ahead of you, right? Or that new countertop that you want? Why do you think as women we do that?
I don't know, why do we do that? Because we don't ever put ourselves first, right? We put
Yeah,
our kids first, our ailing parents first, our friends first. We put everybody first
yeah.
before ourselves. And I just got so angry and depressed at the same time. And so I told my husband about you, and he said, just do it, just go for it.
Hmm.
And I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it.
And I
And I
hear
think
that.
it was midnight when I did it. I think
Oh
I
my
signed up
goodness.
at midnight, and then the next day it was starting. I was like, wait a minute.
What am I doing here? Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I hear that it's the spouse that's chatting with their partner and I know it's not a permission thing, but it's almost like the spouse is like giving you permission to put yourself first, right? I'm sure you have a
Yeah.
cohesive marriage, so I don't mean, permission in that way, like your husband's telling you yes or no, but more of like, please, Lori, please put yourself first. And, as you said, if it was somebody else, like if it was one of your children and one of your children was going to do that, like go fix some things up in a house, but you knew that they were dying with migraines, you'd be like, hello, what are you doing? We got to make sure your health is okay. So I think that's just important for us to remember as women. And trust me, I understand there are expenses that we have to do. There are things that we have, like if the car dies and you need a car to get to work, totally get it. You're going to be figuring out how to get a car. But that's not the case with most of us usually. It's we just want to power through. We think we can do it. So,
Well, when it came down to the money, my husband, he he said it to me, and I kind of talked to you about it. We all hope to live to be 100 years old,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
And this is one little part of your entire life.
Hmm.
And the fact that I was afraid to spend money on 4 months to a year on me, it just became ridiculous. And so that was what put me over the leap
Yeah.
off the fence, I guess,
And I
to
do
go
think
for it.
for our era, I do think it is almost the way that we grew up in the culture we were in and the way that we thought about money. I totally taught my children totally different how to honor and think about money versus the way I grew up. Money was like one of those things you didn't talk about. You didn't spend
Right.
it, unless you needed to, and you surely didn't spend it on health because that's what health insurance was for, right? It was a totally different era. But now, fortunately, I've come to respect money and realize the energy that it has and what it can do. And still understanding that there are tight times and, that we have to respect it in all aspects. But I think it's important that we do think about the power that it can have and if we can tighten up a little here to help over there, what a difference it can make. So saying that, what was the anniversary that you hit yesterday?
3 months without a migraine. And I can't even tell you, Debbie. So last year at this time, we've made a lot of friends here, and there was a
Uh-huh.
lot of Christmas parties, and every party we were invited to, I'd go, I'll have to let you know. I'll have to let you know. So after I made it through Thanksgiving, we went on a trip. I had no migraines. I thought, I'm saying yes to everything. And my husband's like, well, are you sure? Because we have 3 parties this week. I'm like, yeah, we're going for it. We're doing it. And we did. We went to all the parties. I have to say, over the 3 months, I did get a prodrome,
Yep.
like I'd start to get head pressure, but I knew exactly how to stop it. And as
Mhm.
soon as it started, I was like, F you, this is
Yep.
not going
I
to
love that.
happen.
I
And
love
I
that.
just did everything I learned and it went away magically. I mean, it wasn't magic. I have to tell you, for those of you that are on the fence about this, when I took that leap and decided to do this, I decided after I joined and I saw what it was going to take, I treated it like a college course.
Mhm.
I went and bought school supplies. I got a notebook. I got highlighters. And the subject was me. I was going to learn everything about me and fix me. And that's how I approached it. And Debbie would say, spend this many minutes a day. Well, I'll admit I went way overboard and
Everybody does.
I
Once you
looked
guys
for
start drinking the
you
Kool-Aid, you can't stop.
recommended a book. I was on Amazon buying that book. I researched everything, and all your coaches are so great. I mean, Barbie is, I don't even know how she keeps all that information in her brain. But
Barbie
anyway,
is one of our success coaches for those of you watching, and she is a retired chemistry professor. She loves the science behind everything. So we're very fortunate to have that knowledge from her.
yeah, and I loved learning all the science. I learned, well, like my mind was blown about everything that I learned because it's not just getting rid of your migraines, it's changing your entire life and a whole new healthy life. I'm a completely different person. I wish, Debbie, you should take before and after pictures because when I first joined, you could see it in my
Yeah.
eyes and
Yeah.
my skin. I was miserable.
Yeah. We actually have some on our website. We have some before and after, so everyone will have to go take a peek. And we do ask for those now because I can see it. Like when I first met you and we first chatted for the first time, I can totally see it on people's faces. You can see the pain, you can see the concern, the annoyance. You can see the emotions. And then when we get to do something like this, I get to see your smile. I mean, your face just lights up. Even if you're not smiling, your face is just lit up, which is,
I do light up, and my friends and family, well, my kids, because I live out of state from my children, and my
okay.
daughter was like, "Mom, like you just look so happy." I go, I am. For the first time in 34 years, I could go do something and not have in the back of my mind, am I going to get a headache from this?
Yeah. And especially this time of year when there's so many things going on and there's so many, it's busy, right? It's busy, busy, busy. And for you to be able to reduce that chronic inflammation enough where you could do 3 parties in a week, that's pretty.
Yeah, I don't recommend that, but it was a lot of fun, but very exhausting.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Well, we talked about one important date yesterday being your 3-month anniversary, but I know there's two other dates that you said were forever etched in your heart. So can you share what happened on those dates and why they became
So I started your program, I believe it was May 8th. I know it was around the first week of May.
okay?
And then I'll be honest, I got migraines along the way, and
Of
every time
course.
I'd get one, I'd get
Pissed.
mad. But I worked through the modules and I did my homework and it started to come together. And after 4 months, I think I had finished going through all the modules at that point. and I had a migraine September 17th. It wasn't a bad one, but it was bad enough where I took a trip down. I went to bed and I thought, okay, tomorrow I'm going to tighten up areas I need. I'm going to look at everything and figure out why that happened. And then woke up September 18th, and I have not had a migraine since September 18th.
Yeah, you'll never forget that date, will you?
I will never forget that day. In fact, I may make that my birthday now.
Aw. Hey, everyone should have two birthdays, right?
That's right.
I love it. Oh, I want that date for everyone. I think there's so many women that the dates they think about are, the things that they've missed. I missed my kid's soccer game this day, or this Christmas I wasn't able to fully participate, or I did, but I took two triptans and I felt like I was drugged. And, those are the things that I hear so many women talk about. So to be able to have someone come on, Lori, like you, and share some great dates, it's so nice to hear. It really is.
Oh, another funny thing that happened was when we went over Thanksgiving, we went to California. And in the program, you learn how to make a migraine kit. Had my migraine kit and I threw it in the car with everything. And then when we got home and we were unpacking, my husband goes, "Oh, you left this bag in the car." And I go, "That was my migraine kit. I never even took it out of the car. I never even brought it in the hotel."
Oh, that is so amazing. What does your husband say now after all of this?
Well, he would probably love to come on here and blab for an hour, but he thinks it's the greatest thing that I've ever done because it doesn't just affect me, it affects him, it affects our kids, it affects our friends, even our friends. I remember there was a module where you talked about community, building your community. And my friends were so supportive. And when I go to their house, they hand me a wine glass with water and like a twist of lemon in it. They
Oh,
don't even ask me, "Do you want wine?" Or
yeah.
do you? And it's really nice. Or they'll cook a meal and they'll say, "Okay, I made salmon and I only put this seasoning." They like go out of their way to explain what they put in their food because they
I
want to
love
make
that.
sure it's okay.
Well, and I think that's important to remember. I think a lot of people think that others are going to be annoyed or they're going to feel funny if they're doing something that's a little bit different. But first of all, it's so common nowadays with allergies and intolerances. These kind of things are so common. But if you're hanging out with friends or family that truthfully care about you, they want you to feel good. They don't
They do.
want you to feel bad. And if you is it's more about educating them, right?
Right.
Explaining to them, this is how I felt before. And now that I do these things, this is how I feel now. So any support you can give me to do that would be amazing, right? And even Lori, I'm sure you wouldn't care. Like even if they said I'm cooking something, you're like, fine, I can bring my dinner. That's fine. As long as you know
Exactly.
when you have that communication, it doesn't matter. Like I'll be getting together with family on Christmas and probably 80% of the meal I'll eat. The other 20 I won't, but I know that ahead of time, and that's the food I'll bring.
Right.
I'll bring my version of that, and I'm good with that, right? It's just
Right.
great to know I don't have to miss out. I never feel deprived,
Exactly. Well,
because
even for Thanksgiving, my daughter was like, "Well, Mom, what are you going to eat?" I go, "I can eat." I made roasted sweet potatoes instead of candied sweet potatoes. I ate the turkey. I ate the vegetables. I ate pretty much what everybody else ate.
exactly, you're just making little subtle tweaks based on your particular needs, which
Exactly.
actually brings me to one question. Somebody submitted a question ahead of time that I wanted to make sure we addressed. It was, of course, she wants to know exactly what you did in the program. And as much as we would love to sit here today and say that there is this actual perfect blueprint that if everybody does exactly A through Z, you'll get migraine freedom, we know that the key is figuring out what your body needs. There's
Exactly.
a total foundation, right? Total foundation that Lori went through. We worked on the six key inducers of inflammation. We worked on drivers of inflammation. We didn't really have to go into genetics with you, but some people we do. Those are the three key areas. But the thing is, the way that Lori implemented it, is different than the way Barbie did and Cheryl did and Nicole did. And maybe she's eating some different foods and doing some different exercise and doing electrolytes differently. And that's what the answer is. So for all of you, because this one person who submitted, like four other people submitted the same question. Give me the magic formula. What's the magic pill? What's the magic answer? And it's really not magic. Even though you use that word, Lori, you caught yourself and you're like, it's not.
It isn't magic. And it's not something that happens overnight. And it's like gradual changes. And as you make the changes, you learn what's good for you. I'll be honest, I did not sleep before this program. I'm sure there's many of you that suffer from migraines too and don't sleep. I would sleep, if I slept 3 hours in a row, that was great for me. So learning how to sleep, it's like a baby, like sleep training a
Yeah.
baby. I
Yeah.
learned how to sleep, and I easily sleep 7 hours a night now. And if I wake up, I go right back to sleep. And that probably was one of the biggest miracles of this whole program, was sleeping. And then the other one was my gut issues. I never really knew that I had them until I watched the poop class.
Yes.
You talked about all that, and then I realized, oh, I have a problem.
Yeah. Most
But
people don't, and just because everyone's probably going right now, do I have a problem too? If you're not eliminating stool from your wrist to your elbow on a daily basis, you got a gut problem. And I'm guessing most of you that are watching right now, or anyone watching on the replay, you don't do that. That means you're constipated. Your doctor will tell you, oh, as long as you go a couple times a week, you're okay. Yeah, guess what happens to all that stool? It reabsorbs back in your bloodstream and it causes inflammation, which is the root of migraines. Plus, ew, who wants poop reabsorbing back into their bloodstream? Because that would be what your body's trying to use as fuel.
yeah,
Think about,
that and even peeing, the color of my pee, I
yeah,
never knew that that was an issue. I mean, there's so many things. I could just go on and on and on about all the things. Like Cheryl and her mindfulness. I had no idea what mindfulness even was. And I think Cheryl became such a big part of my migraine freedom and learning breathing techniques, because I've always been a super stressful person. I
hmm.
stress over my kids. I stress over getting a delivery. I stressed over everything. And the funny thing is, back in September, I went to the doctor, and I've always had, he calls it white coat syndrome, where my blood pressure goes way up.
Yep.
So they put me in the room to take my blood pressure, and I just sat there and I was doing box breathing. And she came in and took my blood pressure, and she goes, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing that your blood pressure is normal? Started laughing.
Yeah.
I
And
could hear my husband laughing in the other room because he was with me.
but it's true to the point that the things that you learn, you didn't realize you needed. Or
Exactly.
we're like, okay, I know that I'm stressed and I get it, and all right, fine, I should do some things that are stress relieving. But we don't realize how intertwined that is with every piece of our health. When we are stressed, we can't produce hormones. Guess what? 90% of you tell me your migraines are caused by perimenopause, postmenopause. You say hormones. So if we're not sleeping well, if we're not exercising right, if we're not eliminating stool right, we can't produce those hormones, but nobody knows all those parts and pieces. So the main point here is, like Lori said, you don't do this overnight. We would love to sit here let's see, we've been on for 26 minutes. In 26 minutes to tell each and every woman, the thousands of women watching this, that exactly how to end their migraines. What we can tell you is that the root of migraines is chronic inflammation. What we can tell you is chronic inflammation comes from inducers, drivers, and genetics. And through our method, we pull apart every place that chronic inflammation can come from and teach you how to tailor your life to reduce that chronic inflammation. That's the secret sauce. That's the magic pill, but it takes time. It's not an overnight fix. Lori said about what was it, about 4 months for you, May to September? Is that what you said?
It was
By August,
4
September.
months and about a week. And it just all of a sudden just clicked. Everything just came together. And I'm so in tune to my body now that if I don't drink for a while or I don't, like, my body tells me exactly what it needs now. And if I don't get enough sleep, I know it. I'll pay for it the next day. So I
Exactly. And
know
that's
what I
the
have to
key
do
is
now.
we want to teach you to realize those things. We don't want you to need us for life. We want to teach you the foundation, teach you how you can tailor it for yourself, because as you go through different stages of life, your needs might change a little. But now you're so in tune to your body, you know how to take care of that.
Right. And I was very sad to leave because I feel like you guys are all my family. And seeing Debbie does this Friday thing where we all post our wins for the week. And it got to the point where I just loved reading everybody's wins, even if it was just a teeny little win, because it was fun. It's like you're so involved in yourself and healing yourself, but you get to know everybody else. So you want the same thing for everybody.
Yeah, we're very hands-on in the Freedom from Migraine method. We have a lot of touch points with everyone every single week, which is why we become so close and which is why it's bittersweet when someone like Lori leaves because we're thrilled for her, of course. And then the coaches are like, does she have to be done? Why is she done already? Is she not sticking around longer? We don't
The time really went by fast.
It does. It does. The lowest amount of time that we typically work with people is 4 months. That is the average for people to see results. Lori's results are wonderful, amazing. Not everyone is going to be fully migraine free in 4 months. Let's be honest. Everyone is different. But it's hard. It's hard when you guys go. But thank goodness you stick around in the Women's Migraine Freedom Group and you come on and share your story here, just as most of the women do, which is wonderful. So, anyone watching this, if you had a question for Lori and you totally forgot to submit it, either one, pop it in chat right now. We have a couple more minutes. Or two, just go post it in the Women's Migraine Freedom Group because all of the graduates from the Freedom from Migraine Method, they will be all over your question in a heartbeat to answer it.
I
I won't
will
even
be.
have to go in. They're just so great because they just want to shout from the rooftops. I remember somebody else that I chatted with, Sue, a couple months ago, or when she started, I should say, she's like, if you can help me, I will never stop shouting from the rooftops because there's no way you can help me. And guess what Sue's doing now? Just like Lori, she's not pissed anymore. She's shouting from the rooftops and she's got her life back. So, Lori, if we have to
Yeah.
sum this up while we're giving everyone a chance to ask any questions if they have them, anything that you want to say that we didn't get a chance to say, what would you like to say to these women since you have a captive audience here?
Okay, this is what I want to say. Don't be like me and don't keep putting it off because this is your one life. And you want to live it. You don't want to be laying in a bed with a migraine with an ice pack on your head. And yes, it does cost money, but you're so worth it. And my last call with Debbie after I finished all the modules, I started to cry. I got really emotional because I never thought this could happen. And I felt sad that I waited so long. And Debbie said to me, you don't know what you don't know. And that has stuck in my head. And all of you that are contemplating and thinking that you tried everything and this can't work for you, you really don't know what you don't know. I really thought I was this healthy person
Mhm.
screwed over with migraines. And it wasn't true. There was so much more to learn. And now I'm living proof of it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you just said that because I think I hear that from the majority of women I talk to. I'm healthy. I exercise. I know what I'm doing. I'm listening to my doctor who's got the lab coat on, who's got the degree. I know what I'm doing. And it's not that you guys are doing anything wrong. It is literally that you don't know what you don't know. But now you
Yes.
know.
And now I know
Ugh.
it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard.
It's work, right? You put work
It
in,
is
you put some
work,
effort
but
in.
you're worth working for,
Yeah.
right? You're
Like you said, you treat it like a class. I'm going to remember that and I'm going to use that because when people do start the Freedom from Migraine method, they do kind of need to treat it like a class. And I'm not saying you're spending 50 hours a week, like that's not what we're saying, but you do need to make it a priority. You invest in yourself. And
right.
Cheryl's going to be so thrilled to hear that you got a binder. That is Cheryl's thing. One of our success coaches. She's like, get your
Oh, I
binder.
love my binder. I
Get
should have
your
brought
get
my
your
binder.
highlighters. Oh, she loves a good binder. Cheryl was also a 40-year educator and was a high school principal when she had to stop due to migraines. And now I'm so fortunate she, instead of going back to teaching, well, she is teaching. She is now teaching with us. She is our,
She's the best teacher in the
oh,
whole world
she's
with the
amazing.
best, most soothing voice I've ever heard in my life.
She is wonderful. She runs our Thursday coaching call. We don't know what we would do without her. She helps each and every woman learn how to rewire their brain and supports them while they're going through a migraine course. Because you mentioned this, Lori, too, which I kind of caught on to, that when you started, you were kind of annoyed you were still getting migraines.
Yeah,
Because in our head, what happens? I gave her my credit card. Why are my migraines not gone? They should like disappear when I pay for the course, right? But it takes time. The body takes time to heal. It takes time to, really make those changes and see what's working for us. And Cheryl guides you ladies through that while Barbie and Jackie and Nicole guide you through the nuts and bolts of the program and how to implement things and, teaching you about the inducers and drivers. So we couldn't have a better team. I must admit, I'm very fortunate.
definitely. You
These
have
are
an excellent team.
Thank you. They're all graduates of the program. They all had migraines for over 30 years. Two of them are nurses, a nurse and a nurse practitioner. So they had that conventional wisdom. And now we've married it with functional, which is really where the gold is. If you want secret sauce, folks, that's where it is. It's in
Yeah.
that functional approach. So, Lori, thank you so much for being here. I hate to end this because I don't want to let you go.
I know I'm sad, but I'll keep in touch and I'll be in the group if anybody wants to ask me any questions because I was where you were 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Just 8 months ago. That it's hard to believe.
Well, definitely don't be a stranger. I'll reach out to you. We're going to do some fun alumni things next year. So we'll make sure that we stay in touch because I miss you guys too much. I got to get in touch with
Okay.
you every once in a while. But thank you again. Happy Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and your husband
Thank you.
and everyone. Thank you for being here today. If we can answer any other questions that you have of Lori's, please just go to the Women's Migraine Freedom Group, post those questions over there. My team will be watching for them and we'll make sure we get them to Lori if they're specific for her. And if you are interested to hear more about the Freedom from Migraine method and what that could possibly do for you, what we do is we actually do a migraine breakthrough assessment. We will actually give you a form that you fill out. We will assess where you're at. And then, if you want to, we can talk about what direction we can take to help you. Zero pressure, all about getting you some answers because 1 in 4 women have migraines. And guess what? Lori's one that doesn't anymore. All right,
Yep.
everybody, have a
Believe
great
it.
night. Here's to your migraine freedom. Thanks so much.
Happy holidays.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.